Before bedtime, and then you'll have her on your bed an hour before bedtime, but I will consider not doing that one until you done the morning one first, because that will make her understand that that she's okay, and it won't get her so intense at nighttime right before bedtime. But eventually it's cool. Like, I love having your dog on a bed. It's so much fun. Now my dogs, like, I'll invite them on my bed and I say, come on guys, up. They come up, we'll snuggle, and then they go. They have way too much respect for me, and they get hot because mine are fluffy. Yours is not fluffy, so yours will love to be on the bed 24/7, under the covers or in front of the fireplace. You know, that's hilarious. But that they are, and my dachshund that I have that come often, Joey and Jesse, often I can't find them. They're at the bottom of the bed inside a sock. They're amazing. They just hide in the socks. It's so funny. I'm like looking everywhere for them. I'm like, oh my gosh. Take all the blankets off and then figure it out. Yeah.
He's like addicted to
Anybody have any other questions, just briefly? All right, we're gonna get it started. So the topic of today is a really interesting topic, because before this week, we've been working on actually the opposite, which is engagement. We've been working a lot of engagement. We were playing games. We've been rewarding our dogs for staying close to us. We've been rewarding our dogs for coming back to us. We've been rewarding our dogs for doing a lot of things that involve with us. Now, but the topic of today is actually disengagement, which is the opposite. It is okay for you to not engage or focus on a particular thing. Now, the reason why I chose this topic is actually because of Avery, because Avery and I were talking about the other day about her doggy, and her doggy does really, really well. And then there's a moment where her doggy has a little bit of a negative experience, and then he gets stuck in that state of mind, and it's really, really hard to disengage him from that state of mind and create positive experience again. So we're going to talk a little bit about this. So disengagement is a couple of things. Disengagement, first, understand the definition. It's when a dog focuses, or a person focuses on something and have the ability to understand that is none of their business. Like, you don't have any control over it. So you don't get stuck in the situation. So you know there's value on letting the situation go, or just ignoring the situation or moving away from the situation. So that will be disengagement. Now, when you think about humans, what happens often is that something will happen to you and you get stuck in that emotion or in that particular thing that happened to you, and you can't disengage from it. And you're trying really hard to let it go, but you can't even sleep sometimes. You get stuck on that thought, on whatever happened, that activity. So this is exactly the same thing we're talking about. So imagine that that when you don't have the ability to disengage, it's actually a physiological challenge. It's not just a mental challenge, it's actually physiologically as well. Like, you're not able to control yourself to move away from the situation and let it go. So there's two types of physical and mental. So that's really important for you to understand, because unless we have added both types on our training, on our way to teach our dog, it's going to be really hard to disengage them for something. So let's look at a very typical example of a dog. So I'm walking down the street. My dog sees another dog in the corner. He wants to say hi, or is nervous or whatever, and my dog stares at that dog. And my dog is focused on that dog. Now, I can wave a steak in front of my dog. I can say their name 20 times and they are not responding. So they're engaged in that dog. They're focused on that dog. So what I want to do is I want to teach my dog to disengage from situation like that by actually playing 3 games. So the 3 games we're going to play are in a particular order. So the first game we're going to play is an addition to the pendulum walk. So the pendulum walk is when I walk from one place to another, back and forth in a rhythmic motion. So that's the pendulum walk. What we're going to add to the pendulum walk is a turn. And this turn, together with the pendulum walk, we call it the airplane walk. Now, because we call it the airplane is because you remember when you were a kid, you were kind of like, you were playing like you were an airplane, you could go like this, woo, woo. So like that. So that's something very similar to what we're going to do with our dogs. So the first thing is, as soon as my dog gets intense, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to play these games first without the trigger, because at this point, you guys should know that triggers don't actually help your dog learn. You got to teach your dog the bricks separate from the triggers. And once the triggers are taught, then you can, once you're taught the bricks very stable without cracks or crumbled or anything like that, then you can introduce real life. So I have my dog, I can toss a treat of food to create the intensity. And then what I'm going to do is that as soon as my dog gets intense about that, I am going to bend my knees, slide my leash down, and then lure my dog away or pretend like an airplane, like woo. So I'm going to show you. Give me just 1 second, you guys. I had a little bit, I was a little bit delayed, so I didn't have a lot of time to set up on the other room. But I'm going to see if I can do it just quickly for you guys. Let me see if you can see properly. And if you don't, I'll try something else. Okay, let's see. So you can see me just a little bit right about here. So I'm gonna bring a doggy. Give me 1 second.
Hi, sweetheart. Yes, it would go. Did you go and check out what was happening? Go. Ooh, there's doggies. Ooh, doggies.
No crying. I hear you crying. Stop it. All right, guys. So here I have a puppy. She is 7 months old. Almost 8 months old. So can you guys see me clearly? Okay, so check this out. So I want to do the airplane walk. So 2 points. First, I'm going to toss my dog, and I have my other feet. And I toss the feet, engage, bend my knees, and I do the airplane. Yes. So what I want to do is I want to end up kind of like in this position. And I also gave my dog a treat that's a little bit higher value than the one that I taught. So I'm going to try again. So my dog is there. I toss my treat. She goes. I slide in, bend my knees. And then I want to do this hand and say, ooh, yes. And then I pay her. So basically what I want to do, find it, is I want to teach my dog that leaving something when she's intense is actually valuable. So that's actually the meaning of disengagement. The disengagement is whatever you're focusing on is none of your business. There's value on leaving that alone. There's value on you following me. Now, at the beginning, when I'm working on this behavior, I have to slide on the leash and pull the dog. But after a while, the sliding on the leash actually becomes the cue. So there's a couple of things that you should think about when you're doing this exercise. And number one is your knees and your hands. So I want to bend my knees when I do it. So I'm going to show you. Excuse me, guys. Hold up, honey. Thank you. So I close my treats. I bend my knees. I slide. Yeah. Woo. And I do my airplane. And what happens is that especially when you're working with a dog that likes to sniff the ground a lot. Now, like Takara, sometimes when we're walking, her nose is right on the ground. And we don't actually want my dog to be sniffing while I'm walking with my dog. So what I want to do is I really want to make sure that my hand is really high. So I get that head up, completely disengaged from the environment and focused on me. Okay, so I'm going to do it one more time. Okay, ready? So I'm walking. I'm going to trigger the behavior. My dog tries to get it. I bend my knees. I slide in. I go. I walk away. My treat is up high. Yeah. And I reward. Right? So I want to have that kind of airplane, that kind of thing that I'm doing. Now, usually when we're working with our dogs, I always tell you, don't do chicken wings. Try to stay close in your center so you can have more ability to help your dog. But in this circumstance, it's actually your body language that making the dog valuable for them to disengage from it. You're kind of bending down, you're kind of being more playful, and I'm bringing her head up so she doesn't go back to engaging in that thing. Okay, so I want to get my dog out of the way. So now I have a small space right now. So what I did, it was a very short walk. But remember that what I was trying to do is I was doing the pendulum walk. So my dog gets intense about something. I start my pendulum walk with a good pace. And then if she continues being intense, I do my airplane, my turn. And usually, depending on the level of intensity, is what side you can do your turn. Like my dog wasn't very intense. So if I turn into her drive for that treat will be 0. So I wouldn't be able to do the exercise again. So I turn away from the treat. But if your dog is really intense, you can actually turn into the dog and that drive will go away and she'll want to be more with you. Are we clear with that? So just to recap, we're talking about disengagement. And disengagement is the ability to understand that whenever something grabs your interest, something is really intense or you feel intense about, there's value on letting it go and minding your business. There's value in that. So what I want to do is the first step.
It's all right. It's all right.
I see the little one. The first step to create disengagement is to do this pendulum walk and add the airplane turn to it. And that makes it really fun. And again, I want to create all these abilities for my dog to disengage from a situation so they know if it's fun and it pays. Okay, the second way to create disengagement. Okay, now, what is number one behavior problem that dog owners have? Everybody has it, like at the beginning, until you're good with your dog. What do you guys think? Christina, any ideas?
I don't know.
Yeah. What do you see most often owners like when they're walking their dog?
Pulling them all around.
What?
The dog is like pulling them all around left and right.
That's absolutely right. The number one way that people miscommunicate with their dogs is by allowing them to pull them everywhere. That's pulling on the leash is the hardest thing for people sometimes to understand because they don't understand how to build a team with your dog. Now, the cool thing about working with this disengagement is that it actually teaches engagement with you. So that's super awesome. You're creating this relationship with your dog in which you're a team with your dog. So that's awesome. So the next step is going to do that. So we talked before. I don't think any of you has like major behavior problems where I taught you leash pressure. Did I teach leash pressure to any of you? I don't think so. That's when you have really bad behavior problems. Sometimes you need a little bit of leash pressure to help you out. But leash pressure can really help you also teach the dog to disengage for something. So what I'm going to do for this one is very similar. I'm going to toss my treat so my dog wants to get the treat. I'm going to show her the treat because she already didn't want to get it. And when my dog tries to get it, I put pressure on the leash. Yes! And when my dog disengages, I'm going to give her a treat. So I basically, what I want to do is I want to pull on the leash. And I want to pull on, I want to pull on, I want to pull on the leash. And I want my dog to go in the direction of the leash. So I'm waiting. Yes. and I want to pay in the same direction I'm pulling. So I pull, yes. So what that does, it doesn't stop any pulling on the leash because it's teaching the dog that they have to come back to you when there's tension. So I'm going to do it again. I'm going to pull on the leash. I'm going to pull on the leash. I'm going to put pressure on the leash. Pulling, yes. And I reward in the direction that I was pulling. I'm going to pull away again. I'm going to pull in this direction. Yes. As if it's moving in the direction of the pressure, I'm going to pull. I'm going to pull. Get her, yes. And she moved towards the pressure. So I'm trying to get my other hand to be the trigger so she doesn't want to move towards me. Ready? Pull. Yes. Good girl. I'm pulling. Yes. And I only reward when she moves towards the pressure on the leash. Do you guys understand? So I'm fabricating tension on the leash. Now I'm thinking about Maui, and I'm thinking about, okay, Maui saw a dog that was barking at him. Maui got scared. And right after that, every dog he saw, he pulled. And you were pulling back, but he wasn't listening. He wasn't coming, right? He wasn't going into the pressure. He was going away from the pressure. So that's why he escalated. So I'm thinking that if you actually teach Maui how to play the pressure game, he will have an easier time listening to you after he had a negative experience. So when I want to cause this kind of like I'm walking on the street, my dog sees something, I create the pressure. When my dog comes towards the pressure, even a little bit, I reward. Give me a second, guys. Let me help Coda for a second. Coda. Apologize, guys. Coda is here for a visit, and he is still very new, so he's working on this challenge. Ready? So that's the second exercise. So let's recap. Disengagement means I focus on something, but I know that it's valuable to let it go. It is valuable to come back to my owner. It is valuable to disconnect from it. It is valuable. It pays for me to not pay attention to it. There's 2 games so far we covered. Number 1, pendulum walk plus a turn equals the airplane walk. Okay, so that's the one we played first. Second one is pressure game, where my dog learns to walk towards the pressure whenever I pull it, whenever I pull on the leash. So that's the second one. The third one is actually where we teach our dog the sequence of focus, a sequence of focus. So what that is whenever my dog gets interested on something, when they come back to me, I'm gonna do my heel work and I'm gonna reward often, many times on the nose while the dog is following me. Okay, so that will be the third game. So the third way is a pattern of focus. Why is it a pattern? Is because there's a couple of things happening. I'm gonna create a pattern where the dog learns that whenever they go away, when they come back, if they focus on me, they're gonna get more rewards or value. So it's very similar to proximity one, but the difference is in proximity one, you're tossing the treats away, and in this one, you're gonna give the treats from your hand. So let me demonstrate for you guys. All right. So I have my treats with me, and I'm gonna demonstrate off leash just so you can see how you can start at home, and then you can create the same thing on a leash after. So I toss my treat to my dog. My dog goes and gets it. As soon as, yes, my dog is back. Yes, yes. And I'm gonna be rewarding, yes, yes. Acquire many times up high. So my dog doesn't put their nose down. So I'm gonna do it again. So I toss my feet. Dog goes and gets it. My dog, yes. A reward, yes, 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 yes. And this is called a pattern of focus because the dog is now actually focusing on me the entire time and on my rewards. And it's really, really cool when you're walking down the street, your dog hated kids, hated people, hated other dogs, and all of a sudden, a simple game like this, they're on you. And they couldn't care less about any of those things. So again, these exercises, these games, I will play first when there's no triggers. Try to get them to do it when they're calm and relaxed. And then as they get better, you're actually building that brick on their head. So let's go over a little bit about this wall and these bricks that we're always talking about. So it's called the wall of understanding. And there is an idea in the brain. And what happens is there's concepts. Hold on a second, you guys. Hay un carro suelto allá afuera. No puedes sacarlo, hay un carro suelto. No tengo tiempo. Sí, pero tienen que sacarlo con la hay un carro suelto allá afuera. Estoy en mi clase. No, vete a dar un lado primero. Ya, gracias. I apologize, guys. I was just telling my uncle that I had Mr. Coda loose in the house. Okay, so those are the three ways in which we create that disengagement. And at the beginning, again, I want to practice where there's no distractions because I'm building these concepts in the dog's brain. I'm building these bricks that are solid, stable. The dog understands what's expected of them. It's a script. I know when my owner moves like this with his hand, I turn around and I follow her. I know when I go away from my owner to get anything, I come back and I get focused on my owner over and over and over and over again. Now, if you have a little dog like you, Anne, you don't have to move away while you're giving the rewards. You can just stand stationary and give several rewards. As long as your puppy is looking up at you, you're good. But the puppy needs to be looking up at you. Your doggy needs to be looking at you the entire time because he just went away from you and now you want them to come back to you and connect with you again and focus on you. Now, in real life, when you're ready to work on triggers, it looks like this. The dog gets intense and then you either add a little bit of pressure or just make any sound that the dog knows on those games and they will immediately disconnect and come back to you. Now, one of the things that is crucial and why I was thinking that disengagement will be a great subject for today is because we often have the idea that the dog should know what to do. Like, I don't understand. My dog is not following me. I don't understand. My dog is not focusing on me. I don't understand. My dog gets intense. But I never spend the time actually teaching them what to do in those situations. Dogs are opportunistic. They don't, unless you taught them in a particular situation what's expected of them, they don't know how to succeed. So I really, really want to make it a point that my dog is learning and getting better and better at focusing on me and listening to me and doing all these things with me. And I engaging with me what he said, disengaging with the entire world. Does that make sense to you guys? Now we will practice these games for whoever is coming to class. We will practice these games. And just a reminder for whoever lives in Squamish, we have a pack walk on Mondays at 1 p.m. So if you guys want to practice the games that we talk about in Zoom, we have that pack walk. And if it doesn't work for you, maybe we can arrange something else at a different time. But that is available to you whenever you need. But we'll practice these games tomorrow during class for the ones that are coming to West Van. And on Wednesday as well. We'll touch them on Wednesday. Okay. And okay, last thing about disengagement is strategies for your own personal disengagement. Has anybody ever experienced that moment where you get stuck in a situation that happened to you and it's hard for you to move over, like from that situation, such as like a bad grade at school, a difficult situation at work, something else like that? So how did you cope? What did you guys do to like get it over your head? Come on, guys, somebody gotta share.
I read a
Go
book.
for a walk. Have a hot bath.
So I have a hot
Drink
bath.
or a drink of wine or two.
Yeah. Yeah. Who else wants to share? Come on, Anitra. I see you have a thought in your mind. I saw it right there. I saw your thought. Okay, what have you?
I was just saying positive affirmations.
Could you say that again? Sorry, you got cut off.
Positive affirmations.
Stuart, can you repeat? She's a little bit far from the microphone.
Positive affirmations.
I see, I see. And does that have worked for you?
Yep.
Yeah.
Anybody else? I tell you what some of my mentors taught me and what has really worked out for me. There is a free process. I'm gonna put it online. It's completely free. It's a writing process. Okay, it's completely free. It's called the I process. And what it is it was designed so you can write about yourself for yourself. It empowers you because it shows you who you really are, and it allows you to just be honest with yourself about anything in general. It is really cool because it has some explanations that, for example, this is a thought. Have you ever known how a thought is forming in your head? Do you even know that? And when I first started with the process, I was like, what? No, I never thought how a thought gets processed or formed in my head. I just know there's thoughts. And then, well, do you know then, if you don't know how a thought is formed, do you know how emotions are formed? And I'm like, okay, now there's something I'm really interested about. And so I started this process, and it's really awesome because it teaches you how to write about things. So, for example, if you're upset about something, you just write about it. Just write about it. And actually, when you write about it and you're self-honest, and then you work on building that trust within yourself, being some self-honest, you're actually able to let go of a lot of things that come from the past. That sometimes those are the things that are actually holding you back, that you don't even know. The reason why you couldn't forget that thing that just happened to you is because you're actually stuck a little bit in the past, and you're now repeating this in the present, even if you are not aware of it. And that's why sometimes we get stuck emotionally. So this is really, really great process. It's just a process to write, and it's for yourself, and it makes you grow, and it's just extraordinary. I've been working through it, and every day I'm learning more about myself and about how to bring more to you guys, how to serve you guys better, and how to create better experiences for everybody involved. And I think that's very valuable because we have, in regards to disengagement and engagement, I mean, how much life do we have? At some point, you start thinking, oh my gosh, I'm gonna live maybe 100 years, and how do I get engage my time in? Like, I particularly have a dog because I love
What does she want?
being with a dog.
She wants to go out.
Right? So when I am with my dog, I feel secure. I feel excited. I feel willing, and they have this way of discovering the world every day that motivates you and gives you joy. And they do the funniest things, especially if you have a dog that looks like Maui. I mean, he does crazy things that you're laughing your head off. I'm like, why would you do that? It's so funny. And things like that. Like, my dogs sleep upside down with their paws in the air like this. And every time I look at them, I just smile. Like, what an amazing thing that you're walking by your dog, and you have this joyful creature that doesn't get stuck on much. And you can just play with them and help them grow, and you're growing yourself as well. So look up for that link that I'm going to put online. You're welcome to try it. It's absolutely free. You don't have to pay anything for it. And it is absolutely mind, boggling how incredible it is to actually know yourself a little bit better and how free it is. Because, you know, we're working on our dogs all this time. We're improving their lives all this time. But remember, this is about evolving the human-dog relationship. Humans evolve, dog evolves, together we evolve. We have to change. It is not fun when you stay the same. You just keep making the same mistakes over and over again. There's a moment where you, even a small change is like exciting. It's exciting when you discover something about yourself. You discover something about your partner that you have, things like that. So look up for that, check it out. I will post it on our Facebook page and let me know what you think if you have a chance to look into it. All right, let's open the floor. Anybody else has anything to share? Anybody who wants to talk about anything at all?
I have a couple of questions
For
about
sure, April.
so the first one is with the leash pressure. Can you do the same exercise with a harness, or should the leash
Yeah.
be on the collar?
No, yeah. Harness, actually, as a matter of fact, if you do it on the collar, on the harness, on the back of the harness, and the front of the harness, and everywhere, you get such an amazing result. Your dog will be like so trustworthy of you. And every time they feel the tension, they come back. It's amazing. It's so great to practice that. It's so great to practice that. So that's a great question. Mhm.
Okay. And my other one was like Maui recently has absolutely zero food motivation. He hasn't eaten a proper meal in like 3 days just because he has no interest in food at all. And like usually I could use a high value treat and I could get him engaged. And
Yeah.
just recently we're in a little bit of a slump. Like,
Yeah. So
Yeah.
when a dog is not eating their meals, it means that something is up with their system, their like lymphatic system. So what you want to do is you actually don't want to feed them. Let them cleanse that. Okay. A lot of the time they will fast in order to get themselves better. So let them cleanse that and instead use squeaky toys. Something really ridiculous. I like, sometimes I'm dancing up and down with a squeaky toy, trying to get them engaged and stuff. And another thing you can do is just ride the wave. So the wave is going to go up. He's not going to eat. He's not going to eat. He's not going to eat. And then all of a sudden it's going to go away and he's going to feel normal again.
okay.
And in the case that you really have to get him engaged, like you necessarily have to get him to work, I will suggest getting a little container about that big. You can get them from the dollar store or from anybody who sells like trinkets for traveling, and fill it with tripe. So let me show you the one I have. Hold on a second. So this is the one I have. I bought it at Mountain Equipment Co-op. And when I have a dog that absolutely refuses to work with me and like wants to eat me or really is not trusting me at all, I actually fill this with tripe, horrible stinky tripe. And then it has a hole in the front. So whenever I want to interact with him, I squeeze a little bit of tripe in here. And then the dog starts licking it. And all of a sudden I have a submissive dog working for me.
I just bought some of those.
Yeah, exactly.
coincidentally.
Yeah, exactly. So it works really like a charm, and it works with tripe. I haven't tried it with any other thing. I have only tried with tripe because I found that if I had a dog that wasn't motivated by treats or my movement or toys, and he was actually being very reactive to me, I needed to have the highest value possible. So I just went directly for tripe. Okay, but that's something I would recommend. And again, it's about being creative, right? Because that's crazy. I mean, walking around with a little tripe thing, squeezing it is a little crazy, but you know, this dog's life is at stake. You know, either I fix him or he dies. So, you know, we got to do what we can, the best of our ability to create the best results and try to give a dog a chance, right? Mm-hmm. For sure. And you'll realize that with games, no matter how bad the dog is, if you play enough games and you're patient enough and you actually understand the process of building the wall, that's actually when differences happen and when you can make a huge level of success. But it is when you are really rushing and really want your dog to be here now, and you're not spending the time actually playing with your dog and engaging in these bricks, building those bricks, confidence, focus, optimism, patterning, like drive, hunting, like all these little things. When you're not building them separate from the triggers, that's when things backfire, because you don't have the proper bricks. So when your dog goes into real life, they can't take the proper actions, they can't make the right choices, they don't have the concepts for it. So that's what's difficult. Now with patience though, you can do anything. And like Bruce, you're a great example of it, because Misty, definitely for the last couple of days, I've been working really, really hard on getting her really motivated. And she's definitely giving me a buck for my money. Like definitely, I'm trying so hard and I have moments of excellence with her, but then she is like, okay, I'm done. So it takes me, it is like 4 or 5 times and she's done. She's tired. She's mentally tired. And I think that one of the reasons why that is with Misty is because when she was very, very young, she didn't have that being raised up. See, there she is, Misty. That's her like to go place. She just lays down, does not do anything. So what I find is that with her is maybe the patterning, having patterns in your brain and actually being able to solve patterns and problem solve and have grit. I think that's what is lacking from her, because it wasn't given to her when she was really young. So and she actually really enjoys doing nothing. She loves it. Like we'll be playing ball in the yard and all the dogs will be running and she'll be standing or laying down in the highest place she could master, watching everybody play. And she's having a blast, but she's just watching. It's like, hi guys. Oh yeah, you didn't get it. Hey, go over there. But she's not moving, right? So trying to motivate her definitely is a little bit challenging. So I'm looking forward to finding some real ways of getting her up and running and stuff like that. That'd be really fun. Any other questions, you guys?
Mhm.
Awesome. So recap, disengagement, an amazing skill to teach your dog. 3 games. The first one is called the airplane walk, is when you combine the pendulum with a turn. And the next one is pressure work, teaching the dog to go towards the pressure of the leash. And the third one is what we call a focus pattern. So is when the dog goes and focuses on something, comes back, and I'm focusing on you, I'm focusing on you, I'm focusing on you, I'm focusing on you. And then that dog gets rewarded multiple times for getting that focus on you. Okay? Last thing for humans, don't get caught up on your emotions. If you have an emotion right now you can get rid of, like being ashamed or something, being upset about something, you can write things down, write it down, just write every blur you have. And I'm gonna put a post on our Facebook page to the eye process, which is amazing. It's completely free and you can learn to experience your brain and how it actually works a little bit more scientifically, which is awesome. I found it so helpful. Okay, and awesome. I will guys see you in the next Zoom or in the next classes. And don't forget, Pack Walks on Mondays at 1 p.m. You can just show up or send me a text. Rain or
That's
shine.
great. That's awesome. Thanks, Valerie.
Thank you, guys.